Hi everyone, Katarina here. Thank you so much for watching this video today. I'm going to show you how I made this cute shaker card with a twist. By twist I mean it has two different layers for the shaker elements, and I tried to slow it down as much as I could in here. As you can see, those smaller lighter colored hearts do not mix with the larger red ones in the background. Now this would be ideal or a perfect solution if you have large shaker elements that you might want to use, but you do not want them to be covering up your focal main image or a message that you've put in there. So this technique would be ideal for those. These are a few close-up images in here. The card base measures 6 by 6 inches, and this decorative paper I'm going to glue on the top of it also measures 6 by 6 inches. These are digital papers and digital clip arts I'll be using. I've purchased on Etsy. They are gorgeous. I will link to them in the description box below if anyone would like to check them out. I do not own too many Valentine's themed supplies, that's why I like to use digital files, but you can use any stamps and dies papers you may have in your stash already. These frames also were cut out from papers that measure 6 by 6 inches, and this one is printed from the set. I keep saying be mine, and the plain red one. I used Craft Stash's inverted scallop dies just to cut out the middle of it, creating that cute frame that I will be using on both layers on the card. The clip arts I've cut out in several different sizes and different elements. I didn't know what exactly I'm going to be using. In here I'm kind of deciding what shows best. I go for the smaller post box, and I will change the teddy for the smaller one in a minute as well. That cute bunting in the background, unfortunately, we'll have to go for a different project because it just shows too much with the balloons. Those heart-shaped balloons had strings as well attached to them, which I've cut away because I want to use real thread in attaching them to the card rather than the cardstock looking strings that they had with the white border around them. So these are the borders to which I'm going to attach my acetate bits, which also measure just a little bit under 6 by 6 inches, and I'm going to adhere it to the base. And as you can see in a minute, I've added it a bit crooked, so I'm just cutting away the excess of those acetate window bits in there. I don't want them to be hanging over the card because the frame is actually exactly the same size as the card itself. And I'm going to do the same thing to this frame, just removing the backing of the adhesive and adding my second 6 by 6 window sheet. And again, cutting away the excess. And I decide to use my guillotine for it. Just nicer, tidier cut. So in here I'm just arranging the first layer of decorations, the heart-shaped balloons and the letterbox. I'm just checking with the frame. I'm not going to cover too much of them if I position them like so. I'm going to add a bit of double-sided tape to the back of the balloons there, and this is how I'm going to attach the metallic thread coming from each of the balloons. And I'm going to leave them a bit longer. I'd rather have them longer than shorter because I don't know how long they exactly need to be yet. You can kind of pick it up. It's lovely and shiny and sparkly. I love using it for this project. I'm glad I decided to cut away the cardstock strings and use these ones instead. So it's quite fiddly actually. Some of them keep coming away and I had to keep reattaching them. And now with the liquid glue, I'm just going to glue it all to the base of the card. And now I'm going to find a place where I want all those strings to meet, and I kind of want to place them behind the letterbox. So I'm just trying to find where to put them all. I'm going to put a bit of a double-sided tape in there and pull all the strings into it, the ends of those strings. And then I actually don't like the location where they are, so I'm going to take them off and add another piece of double-sided tape and attach them to that. It's just really trying to find where it is best. So now I'm going to add a bit of liquid glue to the back of the letterbox, and I'm going to attach that too. And I'm going to take some of the little love letters from the clip art section, a couple different sizes, and I'm going to glue them. One is kind of falling out of the letter box and a bigger one just down in the left hand corner in there. And I'm going to take some of those sequins that I'm going to be using. It's the red ones, is going to be on the first layer. The second layer will be these lovely holographic ones in 2 different sizes. So I'm going to take some of these red ones and I'm actually going to glue them to the background. Reason for that is because the clip arts are quite dull, so to speak. There's no shine to them, they're just simple printed papers. So I want to add a little bit of a shine to the background even when the card is not being shaken, so the shaker elements essentially will fall to the bottom of it. I still want to have a little bit of a shine in the background in there. So to solve this, I am just adding a few of these sequins in there with a bit of a liquid glue. So this is how it would look. And now I'm going to have to add some double-sided foam tape to the back of this frame. These thin foam strips are from an eBay seller I got quite a while ago, and I have them in different widths and also they come in different depth. I was going to use a deeper ones in here, but then I decided to go, and this is I think like 1 or 1.5 mil just in depth. So this is not going to leave me with a very deep window for all those shaker elements to move too freely. They will be able to move because they are quite flat, but every now and again they will get stuck here and there behind the strings and all, and that's okay with me. These are going to be very much in the background behind that focal image of the teddy bear that I will be essentially gluing on top of this window sheet in here. So I don't mind if not all of those shaker elements will fall to the bottom all the time. So kind of they get stuck in there and then they fall again if I shake it harder. So I think it's just perfect. It adds a lovely interest to the background in there. So now this is the teddy bear that I will be using, and it's an exploding box of love hearts. I love that. Now in here, I just remembered that I had seen a video not that long ago from Jennifer Maguire where she used one of the larger elements on the card as a shaker element itself, but not wanting it to move too freely so it can flip upside down and sideways and all, attached it with a clear string. And this is a look I was gonna go for in here, but I should have rewatched the video again because I'm going to put my string just a bit way too tight in here, so the teddy bear will not have as much of a movement as I envisioned in here for it, but it's still lovely, it's still wobbly, it's still bouncing a bit about in there. But in Jennifer Maguire's video, she left the string, I think, just a bit looser than I do in here. So this is fishing line that I'm using. This is the only clear kind of a string that I had in my stash. And I'm just going to add a bit of an extra cardstock in here with double-sided tape just to make sure it stays put. Even though I used hot glue in there, I just don't want the string to pull away from the back of the teddy bear. You saw me just a minute ago, I already added a layer of the foam strips to the back of this frame as well. And in here I'm just kind of measuring in how far in from the edge of the frame the teddy bear will have to be glued to. And the string measures just a little bit over 2 inches in. So I'm using my grid line in here just to roughly place it at about 2 1/8 of an inch. And I'm going to do the same on the bottom, and this is where I'm going kind of wrong with this. I'm pulling this string too tight. I should have left it a bit looser, but never mind, it still looks lovely. And I know for next time, if I want a bit more movement, I'm just going to leave the string looser if I ever make a card like this, a shaker card like this again. So I'm just using a bit of a hot glue on top of the foam tape in there, and I'm going to add an extra layer of those foam tapes on top of the strips that are already laid onto that frame. So this layer will be double of the thickness of the first layer. I hope I'm explaining this kind of well. So I'm just removing the backings of it, and I'm also going to use liquid glue on this layer as well, just to attach it properly to the frame below this. Just checking everything sits nicely, perfectly in place where I want it to. Here I see that the teddy bear is not moving as much as it should have already, but I don't mind. I'm not going to redo it at this point. It still moves and it still bounces about a bit. Using a bit of a double-sided tape at the back of the explosion box, I'm going to glue or adhere it, placing at the base of the letterbox in there. And now I'm going to use this sequence. I only decide to use the smaller ones. I'm not going to go with the bigger ones that I showed you earlier on. I think the smaller ones are just enough in here. Using very strong liquid glue, it is the acrylic glue from Cosmic Shimmer. I attach some of those hearts onto the acetate, and using a bit of a liquid glue on top of the foam tape again, I'm going to adhere it onto the base. So this is it all out here together, and I'm just going to give it a bit of a shake, just checking everything moves freely and properly as I envisioned. Now I was thinking of adding a sentiment, but there's so much going on this card, and on the top frame there it says be mine all over it. So I didn't think it needed a sentiment on the front of the card. However, I printed out a cardstock for the insert from the same bundle, and this time I added Be Mine, which is again a clip art from the bundle on top of that. It is exactly the same card design that I used on the front of the card. It looks like a brick layered background, but it actually is love letters. I will show you a little close-up of it in here. It's such a clever design. And actually these digital papers, I didn't even show you them all. There's so many of them in this digital bundle. I only used 2 different styles in here. Now I'm not sponsored by any way by this company or any company for this video. That's not why I'm saying. I really do mean that these are such a lovely, beautiful bundles for any scrapbooking or card making. If you would like to check the seller out, I do buy from them every now and again, and I have not been dissatisfied by them yet. The framelets you saw me choosing from are from Surprise Creations, and they are the double-stitched framelets, which I've used so many times in my videos before, and you will see me keep using them. I just absolutely love them. So the size of these ones that I decided to go with is 4 5/8 by 2 5/8, and it just adds a lovely little white section in there to add a message on. Another one of those little explosion box and some heart sequins just to add to it, to add a lovely little bit of an interest onto the inside of the card as well. I think this turned out to be such a lovely card. Honestly, it's so good, and I think I will be using this multi-layered shaker design again. It is such a lovely way of using up those larger shaker elements and sequins and whatnot we may have in our stash. And it gave me a solution to a problem we didn't really have before. But it resulted in such a lovely, beautiful and fun card. If you liked today's tutorial and this card, please give me the thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel if you haven't yet done so. I absolutely love bringing these videos to you. I love pushing myself way out of my comfort zone by even just making these videos and learning new techniques. So I really hope that you enjoy them too, and I will see you soon. Until the next time, bye!